What's going on, guys? This is Travesty here, and today we are doing a draft analysis. So we have been invited to join the PPL NX. This will be done in 3 stages. Stage 1 is a no terror draft, Stage 2 is a low tier terror draft, Stage 3 is mid tier terror. Basically, you accumulate points across the stages by winning games. There's playoffs for each stage as well, but I'm not going to get into all the details of exactly how it works, partly because I don't fully understand it. I'm just going to try and win every game that I can. Links to all of the coaches for the PPL NX. It's probably the biggest draft league there's ever been. We have 48 coaches. All of their links will be in the description and for all of my videos. So every day for the next at least 5 days, you'll get my group stage videos, and then if we make playoffs after that, there will be a few more videos after that. There's going to be short and sweet, so let's get into the team we drafted. We had the first overall pick, and after consulting with a few people, the best option on the board looked to be Ting Lu, because this thing is absolutely disgustingly fat. And so it helps to just check and have a switch into a lot of the mons available. It's quite a low tier draft. So with the stats that Ting Lu's boasting and that amazing ability, it can handle pretty much everything on the board. Also gives us really early hazards to put up. Now, all of the names for my teams across the whole PPL NX season, I guess, season tournament experience, I don't know what to call it, will be Te Reo Māori words. For those of you that don't know, that's the indigenous language, or the language of the indigenous people, the Māori people of New Zealand, which is where I am at the moment, where I'm going to do the first chunk of this season before moving back to Australia. And I think the culture is awesome. I've been very involved in Indigenous cultures back home in Australia and have learned a lot about the Māori culture here. I think it's really cool, so I decided to try and incorporate that into my nicknames. And so the first nickname we have is Waka, which is the type of canoe the Māori people use, because it kind of, the bowl on Ting Lu's head could be a canoe. In particular, the South Island is said to be a canoe that Maui, a demigod, rode into the Pacific and then left there, and the sides of it were carved out by Tuturaka whānau, so that the water that was trapped inside could flow out and people could live there. And so the big crack down the bowl kind of reminded me of the fjords of the South Island, which is where I spend most of my time out at work. If you've heard of Milford Sound, look it up. That is where I finish all my 5-day hikes pretty much. It's the most popular one we do. So get jealous of my office while you Google that on a separate tab. Anyway, moving on, I will mention this team got fixed up a lot in Grace. Again, thank you to members of the council. Their links will be in the description as well for helping me with the draft. But essentially I picked a bit of a random team, just trying to pick up some good mons, and then went back and looked at what was available. And one of the appealing options was a Sun team. So the second mon on this list is going to be Tuatara, the Walking Wake. Walking Wake, obviously one of the best Sun sweepers, able to boost speed or special attack. Pretty reasonable bulk across the board, great typing, great signature move. Now, Walking Wake is named after the Tuatara, which is a species of dinosaur, not a species of lizard. It's actually not a lizard or a snake. It's a separate type of reptile, which is most closely related to dinosaurs. It's still alive today. It's a native reptile in New Zealand. And because Tuatara is because Walking Wake is kind of the past paradox form of Suicune, it's got that dinosaur aesthetic, I thought Tuatara was an appropriate name. They do also love the sun. They have a third eye that opens up on top of their head and acts as a solar panel to help them get more energy, more heat for their blood. So it thrives in the sun just like Walking Wake does. So that's the reason for that name. Next up, to continue the sun theme, we have Weta the Slitherwing. Extremely strong priority, good special bulk, really interesting move pool. Here to just hit things hard and get some good initiative going. So Weta is a species of native New Zealand bug insect that I thought was most suited to this. They can be really, really annoying. I've got some other insects that I wanted to save for other things that are more suited. The weta is quite large. There's particularly a species of giant weta, so I thought that fit more for the Slitherwing. We're going to be running this one shiny for the season just because I think it looks cool. Yeah, just hits hard, strong stabs, in the sun, nothing switches in. Next up we have Hinenui Te Po, the Hatterene. So I really like having bulky magic bounce users. I think often it dissuades people from bringing hazard stack against you, which is super handy. And so wanted to get and try out Hatterene because it's got a pretty cool typing, pretty useful move pool, can operate under Trick Room. It obviously has that fantastic magic bounce ability. Now Hinenui Te Po is the Māori goddess of death or the dark, and I kind of felt like Hatterene matched that weirdly well with that kind of Fey aesthetic and moves like Draining Kiss, etc. I think it suited the theme of Hinenui Te Po's kind of vibes. Next up we have Horopito the Sinister. This is one of the things I was most keen to use. I think Sinister's got a really cool typing and ability with heat proof in singles. And some really cool signature move in Matcha Gotcha, and just a kind of a unique profile in what it can do as a spin blocker and a wall as well as a sweeper. So really keen to pick up the Sinister. I think it's a reasonable grass type to operate under sun as well, because with that heat proof ability it's not weak to fire, which is really, really handy. Now Sinister is named Horopito. This is a species of pepper tree that you can eat. It's got a really, really spicy leaf, and you can brew tea out of it that's mild and aesthetic. And I thought that was kind of similar to the matcha kind of theme that Sinister has going on, so that's why I called it Horopito. Next up we have Koko the Corviknight. Corviknight has one of the best typings in the game, great utility, U-turn, defog, and can iron press up if it needs to as well. So kind of a good all-round wall for this team, and gives us defog in case people do have a hazard setter that Hatterene doesn't want to switch into. Now Koko is a species, one of the many species of native New Zealand bird. I was struggling to come up with which one I wanted to name Corviknight afterwards, and Koko to my eyes looks the most similar to like a raven in terms of the birds that are native to New Zealand and not introduced. We do have introduced magpies and crows and things like that, but I wanted to stick to native birds for this kind of nicknaming theme. Next up we have Te Yora, which is the god of lightning, which I thought was most appropriate for Regieleki, because that's basically what Regieleki is. This thing is so stupidly fast, literally the fastest mon in existence. And because of that can usually invest a lot into its offenses or its bulk, and with Transistor it hits decently hard. Main problem is it just doesn't have coverage, so this thing will come in games when my opponent's ground type I don't think has a great matchup, or if they just don't have a good switch in, like their ground type doesn't want to take an Ancient Power, or they've only got a Volt Absorb mon that doesn't want to take an Ancient Power, things like that. And then you can just spam Volt Switch or Wild Charge or whatever, or Unstab Terra Blast. Also gives us another spinner and some extra priority with that E-Speed. It's not going to hit super hard, but it's still base 100s in both attacking stats, so a few things that Regieleki can do, and there's always just screens up and explode if I need to. Next up, we're getting to some of our more budget picks. I picked up Tui, the Graphii. So Tui are a species of native bird as well, not quite suited to Graphii, but there aren't actually many species of native mammals to New Zealand. There are only two, the long and the short-nosed bat, and they don't particularly fit for Graphii either. So I decided to go with the Tui because they are a mimicry bird. They're a bird that will copy other bird calls, and one of the things that Graphii can do, which I'm looking forward to trying to use a little bit, is that Prankster copycat set that it can run. It can do a lot of things with Prankster, honestly. So it's here for some utility, a grounded poison type, which is nice, and a ghost switch in case I run into an opponent with a really strong ghost type like Gengar. This thing helps to prevent it from just locking into Shadow Ball and wrecking my life, because we do have Tinglu as a dark type, but Tinglu can be worn down, so it's nice to have that immunity as well, just in case I need it. And yeah, Grafai gets really useful move pool with things like Parting Shot, Super Fang, Knockoff, Swords Dance, and then that Prankster Copycat to revenge kill things that are getting out of control potentially. So next up we have the Koko, which is our Charizard. Great Sun Sweeper with that Solar Power ability. Nothing switches into a Specs Fire move from a Solar Power Charizard in the Sun. Now the Koko is a now extinct species of giant tree gecko that used to live in New Zealand. Which I thought was kind of the most similar thing to Charizard. New Zealand really has a lot of birds and not a lot else, which is going to make some of these nicknames a little bit hard to pull off, but you know, I enjoy the challenge. It's more fun for me that way. But yeah, looking forward to being able to just click some Specs Fire Blasts, Solar Beams, things like that at some point. Maybe even get a Flame Charge up and go with that. And of course, if we're drafting a Sun team, we have to pick up a Sun Setter, and we went with Ninetales. Obviously the two options, anything outside of Ubers, is Ninetales and Torkoal, and I thought Ninetales had a little bit more going for it. Already have good hazard removal, and this thing gets Healing Wish. It can add some offensive potential as well with like Weather Ball and stuff like that, whereas Torkoal's kind of a little bit too slow and would get smacked by too many things. So with Baton Pass, Healing Wish, moves like that, we can get this thing in and then pivot out into our Sun Sweepers. Now, Tamanui Terra is the god of the sun, so that's why we've gone for Ninetales. It's going to be running this one shiny as well, just because it looks cool. And yeah, pretty straightforward. God of the sun sets the sun on the field. And then hopefully we get some decent hits off with it, sets a sun for our other sweepers. And yeah, and that's going to be the team. Like I mentioned, we're going to be uploading one battle a day for the next 5 days, and then potentially playoffs after that, depending on how we do. So look forward to those, and then links to all the coaches will be in the description as well. Huge shout outs to the council for helping me out throughout all of this, and massive extra shout outs to Gravy for organizing the whole league. This is an absolute mammoth of a thing to try and undertake. 48 coaches across 8 different divisions, multiple stages, super complex, so super appreciate their work on everything. So yeah, go check out their links in the description as well, and check out all the other coaches for more PPL NX content. That's going to be all from me for today, but I will catch you guys tomorrow for the first battle of our PPL NX journey. Later.